What's happening? People will get the live stream going in a second here, up and running on several outlets. YouTube, on Twitch, and on X. It is Joe Pags. We'll get into what we know coming up. Sit back and relax, and we'll get you going. We'll get you the latest information.
How was this able to happen, and for future reference, is there any security of a golf course?
What's happening, people? Your boy Joe Pags. If you don't know me, nationally syndicated radio, television, talk show host, also a former television news anchor, and watching what's unfolding in Palm Beach County, Florida today. Used to actually live very near there. Gun Club Road is not far from Southern Boulevard. Southern Boulevard and A1A basically is where Mar-a-Lago is. So watching this very closely, seeing exactly what's going on, and getting the very latest that we possibly can. I was informed about another assassination attempt on President Donald Trump earlier today. Was watching closely to see how things unfolded. I first didn't understand that why Trump would be at a golf course on Gun Club Road. But it's his golf course, and from what I understand, what my wife tells me, we passed by that many times. I probably would recognize it had I seen it. But again, I grew up in Palm Beach County, so I'm very familiar with the area. I've got relatives in local law enforcement there, and got some information from them earlier on today as well. Information I'm not so sure everybody knows about, so we'll put that out there as well. I'm monitoring all the social media sites. It appears as though just about everybody is saying who the guy is that's now been arrested. He's a man my age, 58-year-old guy who lives allegedly in Hawaii. And he put out on his social media over and over again very strange things about how he wanted to get Afghan soldiers to go into Ukraine and help the Ukrainians, and also have them go into Taiwan. These are the ramblings of this guy that police say took shots at former President Donald Trump today. The latest we have is that this guy was 300 to 500 yards away. Now, what is the perimeter supposed to be? I guess that's the first question I've got, and I think many of you have the same question. What is the appropriate distance for a perimeter? We know the guy in Pennsylvania was 130 yards away, something like that. An easy shot for even a bad shooter. So what exactly is it that we have to do to protect a presidential nominee and a former president? Does Donald Trump today have the same Secret Service detail that Joe Biden has today? He should. As a former president, he already has it. As the nominee for the Republican Party, he should have even more of it. It should be at least the same size. What went down today, from the information I've been able to gather throughout the day, Trump's out there golfing on a Sunday. Gun Club Road at the Trump Golf Course on Gun Club Road in Palm Beach County. All of a sudden, guns are blazing. You got some guy with what police now say is a rifle, an AK-47, they were saying. I don't know if that's the exact model, but that's what they're saying. A backpack and a GoPro camera. In fact, CNN continues to have these strange outbursts of news, and they're actually reporting this pretty well. This is one of the first pieces of information we saw on this.
In the area of the shooting, sources say they recovered a backpack and a semi-automatic rifle. It was described as an AK-47 in the preliminary reporting, and a GoPro camera. The last piece is very interesting because it suggests, if there was such a camera there, that this individual may have wanted to record himself in a first person doing the shooting. So a lot of questions to be answered.
Yes, a lot of questions to be answered. And it happened again. And while this is going on, while there is an active attempt by either crazy people or people who have a mission, in their minds anyway, to take out the former president, have we done nothing to make it better since then, since Butler, PA? Again, that's the information we had earlier. And again, I've got contacts inside the local police departments there. And I don't know if Secret Service fired back at the guy, but I know that local cops did. That I know. That may be information you're not getting anywhere else. I know that happened. And I know that the local police there have an affinity for protecting the former president. Yet here he is on a Sunday, a guy can't go golfing without some nut job showing up, who, by the way, somehow, now, explain this to me. In South Florida, you've got, if you look at it from the south to the north, Miami-Dade County, Broward County going north, and then Palm Beach County is where President Trump's Mar-a-Lago is. That's where this happened today. Then Martin County is the next county north of Palm Beach. This guy was able to get in his car after having a shootout with police and Secret Service and whatever, and leave and get on the highway and head north and get to Martin County. Now, they did eventually catch up with him in Martin County, and that's where they say they arrested him. Now, I don't know if officials are saying the guy's name, but his name is all over social media. That doesn't mean that it's right. But nobody seems to be arguing that this is the guy. Now, he's somebody who is a radical leftist, a Democrat, if this is the guy, somebody who is a major Harris supporter, major Biden supporter, a guy who is a registered Democrat. That doesn't make you violent if you're a registered Democrat, but he's somebody who allegedly is from North Carolina, was living in Hawaii, somehow ended up in Florida. Now, I want you to understand something. If you're not down with with geography, if you're not looking at it right now, geographically, Florida and North Carolina are not that far away from each other. But Hawaii to Florida is a very, very long distance, extremely long distance. Guy came a long way to, according to police, attempt to shoot the former president of the United States. And I talked about this recently. The former president was shot in the ear in Butler, Pennsylvania in July, just 2 months ago. 2 months and 2 days ago, he was shot in the ear while on a rally in Pennsylvania. The media dropped it like a hot coal. They dropped it so fast that it's as if it didn't happen. A little over 2 months later, somebody else takes shot at the former president, according to the local police, the local sheriff's office, and the Secret Service. This is verifiably true. And then we're hearing the FBI is going to take over the investigation. No. Sorry. I don't want the FBI to take over the investigation. Call me crazy. I don't. There are good FBI agents, very good. But from the higher-ups down, from Merrick Garland, the boss of the DOJ, down, I don't have a lot of trust. You might. I don't. So tell me this. He gets shot in the ear July 13th in Pennsylvania. And they allegedly gave him the A-team. Now he's got all the Secret Service he needs. How the bleep does this happen again? I don't want Biden to be in harm's way, nor Harris, nor J.D. Vance, nor George W. Bush, nor fill in the blank, former or current president. Why is it that there have been 2 attempts on this guy's life? Everybody else is safe, and I want them all to be safe. But how's that possible? We're just going to brush it off again? Listen, if you think that I'm making a mountain out of a molehill, let me show you the wife of one of the Vindmans. I don't know if this is Alexander Vindman's wife. I don't know whose wife this is. This is one of the Vindman's wife. She posted this today over on X. Tell me if you're okay with this. No, this is Rachel Vindman, a verified account on X. No ears were harmed. Carry on with your Sunday afternoon. Tell me. Is this... Seriously. Because if this happened to Biden or Harris, and I don't want it to, I would be beside myself. How dare you? I'll never forget, who's the guy's name? Charlie Rangel was a U.S. representative out of the great state of New York. Charlie Rangel was not a fan of George W. Bush, but somebody overseas said something about Bush. I don't know if it was one of our friends and allies. I don't know if it was an enemy of ours. But he went right to the microphone and said, listen, I'm not a big fan of George W. Bush. Don't get along with him, but he's my president. You don't talk about my president that way. We can, you can't. So when you've got somebody like this Vindman person who can't control herself, you got somebody like that. I mean, what are we doing here? No ears were harmed. Carry on with your Sunday afternoon. And Brandon Straka, our friend we've had on this show many times, said, thank you for admitting that you don't actually care about gun violence. I mean, this sincerely. It's refreshing when you guys experience brief moments of honesty and transparency. Can you imagine being that sick? Carry on about your Sunday afternoon. So what? A former president was shot at again. No big deal. It's kind of sick, isn't it? So we've got this guy. I'm going to show a video that Tara Bull, we follow each other over on X. This is the guy that we've all seen the picture now of him with his hands up. He's on his knees and he's got his shirt pulled up to show he doesn't have a gun on him. He was arrested in Martin County, Florida. You know, I didn't shave today because this went on and I wanted to jump in and give you guys some information. I'm going to show you a short piece of video here. This is out of Romania, Newsweek out of Romania. The guy allegedly, this alleged shooter today, gets on a plane and goes over to Europe. And he's trying to help with Ukraine somehow from Hawaii. Just look at this guy's face and the delusion that clearly lives there.
Who you are and why are you here?
I'm 56 from the U.S. From North Carolina originally, so live in Hawaii now. So flew all the way from Hawaii here. So the question as far as why I'm here, to me, you know, a lot of the other conflicts are gray, but this conflict is definitely black and white. This is about good versus evil. This is a storybook, you know, any movie we've ever watched, this is definitely evil against good. I mean, we're battling a situation here where, you know, the Ukrainians and the rest of the world are caring and kind and generous and unselfish and take care of one another. And it's just a matter of, you know, we need to stand up for that. That is the most important thing in the world, is just to show human beings that we're kind and we're caring and that we take care of one another and that the world is united so that we feed each other and make sure that, you know, we all move forward as one collective whole unit. So, you know, we feel the pain of one country's failure and their conflicts, and we enjoy the successes of other countries that are doing good, and we all work together. And for some,
What is this guy talking about? The hell is this guy talking about? Again, this is the guy that is seen pictured with his shirt pulled up, hands up. And by the way, I mean, he's lived a life, hasn't he? He's my age. He's 58. I mean, what are we looking at here? Again, this is allegedly the suspect in custody having tried to shoot Donald Trump again today. I mean, what are we talking about? He's talking about caring and loving people, and he's alleged to have taken shots at Trump at a golf course? And how exactly did it happen again? The first time was inexcusable. I remember when we had our daughter Gabby, and she had two older sisters, CJ and Sam. And we said, no mistakes, not one. You can't drop her, you can't hurt her, you can't break her arm, you can't do anything. This is a real person that you've got to care for, not one mistake. Like, you cannot have a mistake. It's a human being. The Secret Service having the one mistake was way too many already. Way too many. That you had Blumenthal. Yeah, I think it was Blumenthal yesterday. Could be wrong about that. I'll look it up. But the U.S. Senator, who yesterday went to a camera and said, the American people are going to be shocked when we release this report on how badly the Secret Service failed. I mean, my God. One time was too many. But by the grace of God, he turns his head to look at that chart about illegal immigration. And instead of having a bullet in his cranium, he had a bullet that took off a small part of his ear. I mean, what are we talking about here, man? How is this able to happen? So that's allegedly a video of this guy. This is from one of his social accounts. To the President of the United States, this is from this past April. Your campaign should be called something like KADAF, Keep America Democratic and Free. Trump's should be MASA, Make Americans Slaves Again, Master. Democracy is on the ballot and we cannot lose. We cannot afford to fail. The world is counting on us to show the way. Again, either a deep delusion or a deep state actor. I don't know who he is. But there's something really, really wrong here. Really, really wrong. The sheriff from Palm Beach County was questioned about this today, and he stepped up and he gave this answer.
How was this able to happen, and for future reference, is there any obscurity of the golf course?
Well, you got to understand the golf course is surrounded by shrubbery. So when somebody gets into the shrubbery, they're pretty much out of sight. All right. And at this level that he is at right now, he's not the sitting president. If he was, we would have had this entire golf course around it. But because he's not, the security is limited to the areas that the Secret Service deems possible. So I would imagine that the next time he comes to the golf course, there'll probably be a little bit more people around the perimeter.
I'm sorry, what? And again, from what I understand, this guy's a good sheriff. I don't know him. Maybe we'll try to get him on the show. A couple of things jump out at me there. Well, he's not the sitting president. If he were, we'd have the whole place surrounded. He's a former president just 3.5 years ago, and he's the Republican nominee for president again, and it looks good for him to win again. Not the sitting president. If he were, we really would have taken care of it. Now, I think that was a really bad thing for him to say, but I understand he's a good guy. But there's one part that should jump out at you. Big time. The Secret Service, we gave the protection the Secret Service deemed should be given. Well, what the hell does that mean? Can somebody tell me what that means? Because I don't understand. Just tell me what it means. I don't understand. Do me a favor, repost this wherever you happen to be watching. I'm going to post it over my socials right now. Stay right where you are. I haven't posted it yet, but we still have 2,300, 2,400 people. So keep it right here. Going to take a quick second and post it. I will check out your comments as well, and I'll make sure that your thoughts are heard. We will put them out there. If you don't know who I am, television, radio, talk show host, but I think more importantly on a day like this, I'm a former television news anchor, and I'm an award-winning journalist, so I know how to cover stories. I'm only giving you the information that has gone through several sources. I'm showing you the sources. I am backing it up with actual fact. I'm going to tell you what we know on this case. I like this format because on the radio I can't give dead air. Here I can give you a little dead air for a second. Hang out. Make sure that you promote this. All right, do me a favor and promote this wherever you happen to be watching. Glad to have you here. Glad to have you here. So what is the job? Let's just break that down. What is the job of Secret Service? What is the job of local police? When it comes to a dignitary or keeping people safe, what's the job? It's actually extremely simple. It's one of the simplest jobs to describe on the planet. Now, to do the job, I've talked to my friend Dan Bongino about it. I've talked to the guy at Home Depot that used to be a Secret Service agent that handed me his challenge coin. The job is very simple. Again, it gets very detailed in how you execute the job, but the job is simple. That person is the protectee. Our job is to protect him. Twice now, the guy has had shots fired his way. One time they hit him, killed another guy, and injured severely 2 other people. This time, from what I understand, nobody harmed. But how is it possible that they're able to do this again? I don't understand. And I want to, because, again, as an American, I want our dignitaries safe. I want us all to be safe. As somebody who wants to see a fair and free election coming up, I want to make sure that the candidates make it there. But how does the media and its basic blackout on even speaking about the attempt in July, how does that play into this? How does the media now, we're starting to see affidavits coming out and people alleging that the entire debate was rigged the other night. How does that play into it? where you're attacking one guy, you're a threat on democracy. The other person is the best thing since sliced bread. I think bad people are the ones responsible for doing bad things, but is there power in influence? If somebody already is teetering, if somebody already is somebody who's going to Ukraine, allegedly trying to recruit Afghan soldiers to fight in Ukraine for Ukraine against Russia, and also wants to put some of them in Taiwan to stave off China. If that guy's out there on social media saying that, should he not be known? Should he not be on somebody's freaking radar? I can go on a social media site and say a certain medication works against the pandemic and be banned. I'm known for saying something which, by the way, was true. But this guy, I mean, there's social media site after social media site after social media post showing this guy has a problem. And nobody knew about this guy? Nobody was tuned in. And what the sheriff says there, if you're just joining us, what the sheriff says there, had he been the sitting president, the entire golf course would be surrounded, tells me everything. He's a former president, the Republican nominee, and he got shot in the face 2 months ago. That wasn't enough to step up the capabilities of those alleged to be protecting him? Come on, man. What are we talking about here? I don't know what we're doing. And again, the answer is he's not the sitting president. So what? I mean, let's say that excuse flew on before July 13th. Let's just say that. Let's just say that. Once July 13th happens, do you not at that point say, oh, damn, they're trying to kill him. Let's change something about how we're doing it. Is that not the next obvious thing that you say and do? It should be, no? Let me give you this. I'm just saying that this is from a site called End Wokeness, so there is profanity on here. I didn't write the profanity, End Wokeness did, but this is a piece of video that MSNBC was covering this early on. This is from 3:49 p.m. today. It's actually by way of Curtis Houck. Let me go to the actual person who posted it. Maybe we can get rid of the profanity. Yes, we do. Okay. Let me give you this, because this is MSNBC's take when they heard about the shooting.
Yeah. Do you expect there to be calls from within the Trump campaign to do that? Because he's going to reach out to his supporters and say, let's take this down. We do not know, again, the source of any gunshot or gunshots. We don't know who's responsible for this. The whole thing has yet to be 100% confirmed.
Okay, this whole thing was, she's probably doing this before they knew all the details that we now know. But what is she going to say something stupid here? Is she going to blame Trump or MAGA people for this?
From start to finish, how this all played out. But do you expect to hear anything from the Trump campaign about toning down the rhetoric, toning down the violence, or would that be atypical of the former president?
Well, Alex, remember back to the assassination attempt on President Trump's life and how, there was talk of a new tone, and then the Republican convention was, by Trumpian standards, muted. And it did seem like he was, just trying to take it down a few notches. But
this is some person, Elise Jordan from Time Magazine.
Then by the end of his convention speech, we were kind of back to where we started. So I don't know how long this could, this moment of unity for the country where we come together and we say, I don't want any political opposition to be under threat of violence. It's not okay, any threat of violence, we don't want. I would love for us to have a unity type moment, but I think it's probably going to be pretty fleeting, as we've seen in the past.
What are they talking about? It's from our friends over at MRC Newsbusters. What is she talking about? Are we going to see a different tone from the Trump campaign? Wouldn't the question be, as all of the reports suggest, you've got a Democrat, Biden-Harris supporter, who is now behind bars awaiting charges after allegedly shooting toward Trump on a golf course? Shouldn't the question be, is Biden going to come out? Is Harris going to come out? Is Walz going to come out? Are they going to come out and say, hey, we were saying he's a threat to democracy, but he's really not. We just don't want him to win. We want to beat him. Of course he's not a threat to democracy. Of course he's not going to be a dictator on day one. Of course he's not going to never leave office again. Of course he's not going to use presidential immunity and go nuts. Isn't it time for them to come out and say that? They want the Trump campaign to come out and tone down the violent rhetoric when Trump just got shot at again today. And again, just to be perfectly unbiased, that reporter clearly didn't have the information yet. And the slug on the bottom that said something about shots heard at Trump golf course. No, everybody, the police are reporting, the feds are reporting that this guy shot at Donald Trump. Just like happened 2 months ago, this time, thank God, Trump wasn't hit. Why is the former president ducking bullets when he's playing golf? And the only way, listen, CNN's actually trying to act like it's a journalistic outlet. It's not, but it's trying to act like it is. At least CNN is trying to be even-handed. And hey, this is why somebody brings a GoPro. You're just joining us. The guy allegedly had a backpack, an AK-47, and a GoPro camera so he could video himself doing the deed, I guess. Jumped in his car after after exchanging shots with local law enforcement and I guess Secret Service, but I know the locals shot at him. Gets in his car and heads north of county. Goes, oh yeah. And the county to the north is probably a good 15, 20 miles north. If not more than that. It's probably even more than that, to be honest. He makes it all the way to the next county before he's arrested. And I'm supposed to believe that Trump should come out and tamp down the violent rhetoric. What violent rhetoric exactly has Trump used? Somebody fill me in, because I haven't heard it yet. I'm waiting to hear it, but I don't. I mean, it's so strange the way these people cover these stories. Does that anchor at MSNBC think it's her job to try to minimize the second time a former president and current nominee has been shot at? Does she think her job is to act like nothing to see here and let's move on? I mean, is that what she thinks? And again, I mean, more information is coming out about this guy that is now facing charges in the wake of all of this. And he's this loon. He's this radical nut job. And wokeness today. This is an X profile. Posted this just moments ago. This is 8 or 9 minutes ago. The New York Times wrote a profile on Ryan Routh, the guy that they're saying has been arrested in this case. He helped recruit fighters to Ukraine. Today, according to End Wokeness, I'm going to say he allegedly tried to kill Trump. You can't just say he tried to kill Trump. You can't just say that. You've got to attribute it to be correct. The New York Times wrote about this guy. This is from 2023. In an interview, Mr. Lackey said he just lied about being a U.S. Marine so he could join the Legion, with Legion growing stalling. Ryan Routh, a former construction worker from Greensboro, North Carolina, is seeking recruits from among Afghan soldiers who fled the Taliban. Mr. Routh, who spent several months in Ukraine last year, said he planned to move them, in some cases illegally, from Pakistan to Iran to Ukraine. He said dozens had expressed interest. Quote, "We can probably purchase some passports through Pakistan since it's such a corrupt country," he said in an interview from Washington. If this is the guy, and we've all seen the picture of him with his hands over his head and his shirt pulled up to show he didn't have a weapon, if this is the guy that did this today, and that's the allegation, there's a certain level of disconnect here that he should have been on everybody's radar. The New York Times a year ago, or last year sometime, wrote an article about this guy trying to illegally get Afghan soldiers who are fleeing the Taliban, send them to Ukraine through Iran. And this guy's on nobody's radar? You must be high. You got to be smoking something. I'm not following. And it goes back to the very clear and evident truth. The big media, big Hollywood, big music, big tech, everybody who's attacking Trump have brushed under the rug the fact that he was almost taken out on July 13th. And now fast forward 2 months, and somebody tried to do it again. It's alleged to have been the guy I just showed you a picture of. That's according to local and federal law enforcement. And MSNBC could only muster, Trump should probably tamp down the rhetoric. What on earth are we talking about? Can somebody help a brother out? Because I don't get it. I'm trying to get it, but I don't. Let me see if I can pull up on my dashboard, if I can pull up some of the comments that are happening over on YouTube. If I have to, I just go right to the channel and do it that way. But I can see your YouTube comments and I can see your X comments. I think I can also see your Twitch comments. So I will pull those up because a lot of people have a lot of questions, and I'm here to answer whatever I can with what it is that I know. All right, so I'm looking at it now. Let me kill the volume. Okay, we've got about 1,100 people over on YouTube. I appreciate you stopping by. We've got a couple of 3,000 over on X. I'm not sure of the exact numbers on Twitch. I can try to put your comments up on the screen, then answer the questions as we go. What the heck? If they don't like him, just leave them alone. Well, Jason, I'm with you. Listen, this is the contention that I think everybody should pay attention to. If you don't want Trump to be the next president, beat him. Beat him at the polls. What are we finding most evident right now? Let's be honest. What are we finding to be most evident right now? They don't think they can beat him. 2 assassination attempts on one guy in one race for the White House, and the left is trying to minimize it. No ears were harmed. Go about your Sunday. Did that person think that that was appropriate, nice, or even funny? MSNBC, should Trump tamp down his violent rhetoric now? What is his violent rhetoric? What has he said? I haven't heard one thing that's violent out of his mouth. I don't understand it. Trump needs retired military and street men with him. Catherine, listen, he's got to do something. I talked to Eric Prince about this, and we're going to hope to get him back on soon, the Blackwater founder. What would you suggest Trump do? Because at this point, he's just a sitting duck. And when you got the sheriff of Palm Beach County, who, again, seems to be a nice guy, saying the Secret Service, would have had this place surrounded had he been the sitting president, but he's not. And the Secret Service put in place what they thought was necessary. Well, it wasn't enough. The guy wasn't caught trying to set up to take a shot. He shot, according to all reports. And they shot back. And the guy's just trying to play golf on a Sunday. Catherine, I hear you. By the way, for those of you who are wondering, I'm a nationally syndicated television and radio talk show host. Patriot.tv is my television network. My talk show is on 170 stations. You can go to joepags.com at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday, and click on Listen Live, or you can find it on several places as well. On YouTube, we started memberships. You can be a member there if you want. If not, no problem. Just subscribe, which is free. On Twitch, you can also subscribe, or you can just watch for free, but you'll see commercials. Over on X, make sure you can subscribe there. It's about $5 everywhere if you want to. You don't have to. I'm not saying it because you have to, but a lot of people want to be involved and get the special emotes and special privileges and the special shout-outs. That all happens, okay? Dan, good to see you. I was in Albany, New York. I was in Albany, Schenectady, Troy for 3 years. Was the main Monday through Friday, 6 and 11 o'clock anchor sitting next to Liz Bishop, and it was a great job. I went from there back to talk radio. Let me bring up some other questions, some other comments. Just tried to post the video information on the assassination attempt. They took it off 3 times. Jody, I hear you. Just put out the information that you can attribute. Put out the information that you know to be fact, and they shouldn't bother you. Just like we're doing this live video right now, and I'm giving you information that I can attribute, that I can say where I got it. I can show you the actual sheriff saying it. I can show you MSNBC saying it. I can show you CNN saying it. You got to keep it above reproach. You have to be able to qualify it and attribute it and show the sourcing of it, and then you should be okay. Somebody's the real shred. You're screaming in my channel saying stuff that doesn't make any sense. Linda says Trump haters. He's obviously winning, or they wouldn't be doing to him what they're doing. Trump needs a bulletproof bubble. Love watching you. Yeah, I don't want to see. Here's the thing. Isn't that the rub? Do we really want somebody to have to live in a bulletproof bubble? Do we really want somebody to give up his freedom and liberty as a former president and a future, hopefully, president as the nominee for the Republican Party? Should he live in a bubble? I mean, that would keep him safe, obviously, but my wife was saying this earlier. He should be in the basement. Yeah, he'd be safe. But that's what Biden does. That's what Harris does. So it's not lost on me that the ABC moderators that were proven to be biased the other night, that were proven to only fact check him, incorrectly mostly, by the way, and not fact check her at all. We now are hearing about a whistleblower that signed an affidavit that is making its rounds on X. I'm not going to show it here, and I'm not going to read it because I can't independently verify it yet. When I can, I'll bring it to you tomorrow on my show. I will always independently verify things before I bring it here. But now we're hearing the rumors of a whistleblower, and I've seen the affidavit. I can't say that it's real because I don't know. But allegedly, ABC had a plan. We're going to fact check him. Now, the LA Times, the actual newspaper, does print an article about Lindsay Davis, the one moderator who is a sorority sister of Kamala Harris. That's known. She said so. She told the LA Times in that article people were upset that Trump wasn't fact-checked and that Biden couldn't fact-check him on the spot on CNN. She says that in the article. Go and read it. It's in the LA Times. So Lindsay Davis admits they were going in to fact-check Donald Trump. So that happens. He still ends up winning. He, of course, ended Joe Biden's career on June 27th. Then on July 13th, he's shot in the ear in Butler, PA. Then after the horrible interview, Harris did a sit-down. Go and check out my TikTok, Joe Pags, or my Instagram, Joe Talk Show. You'll see the video of Kamala Harris sitting down with a guy named Brian Taff from the ABC affiliate. It's always ABC News. She's got friends there in Philadelphia. He says, can you give me 2 examples of how you're going to bring prices down? She goes on and off on a soliloquy about lawns and about buying a house. Doesn't answer the question. It's not lost on me that 2 days later, Trump is shot at again. They don't think they can beat him. And I'm not saying that Harris or Biden or anybody in the actual DNC has anything to do with this. I'm not saying anybody in the DOJ has anything to do with this. In fact, I'm saying they don't. But when you have instigative language, when you are giving suggestions to people who are on the brink, at some point you got to think to yourself, why do I keep saying this? He got shot in the head, in his ear, which is on your head. And then he was shot at again today. And the left is still saying he's a threat. They're still saying that he's a threat to democracy. They're still saying he'll be a dictator and a fascist. This guy that was arrested today has social post after social post calling Trump a fascist, that he's a threat to democracy, whatever that means. I mean, this is not okay. None of this is okay. Not in my America. Is this okay in yours? It doesn't make any sense. President Donald Trump goes on Truth Social and makes it easy. They're 0-2. They're 0-2. They're 0-2. Think about that. They tried to kill the man twice. They didn't get him. Do you think they're going to stop? And by they, I mean people who are on the brink. Let me set the stage again because a lot of new people are coming in here. First of all, Joe Pags, nationally syndicated radio, television talk show host. Secondly, social media extraordinaire. Glad you're following wherever you're following. If you're not and you're seeing me for the first time, give us a follow, give us a sub. It's free to just follow or sub depending on where you're watching. If you want to be a member on YouTube, you can do that. You want to be a sub over on X, you can do that. If you want to be a sub over on Twitch, you can do that. It's all available to you. You don't have to. I'm just telling you that it's available. Former television news anchor, award-winning journalist, I know how to do news. So that's why I'm being very careful how I attribute what happened today. Let me just start from the start. Got up today and got a text from a friend, actually a family member, who said, hey, did you see this thing about Trump? Couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it. There is another attempt on his life, this time at his golf course on Gun Club Road in West Palm Beach, Florida. Grew up in the Palm Beach County area. I know that area very, very well. The jail is there. The county offices are there. The courthouse is there. All of that's there. Gun Club Road is a big-time governmental area, but there's also a prison there. I didn't realize that Trump had a golf course on Gun Club Road. I'm told that if I pass by it again, I'll see it and I'll know it and I'll recognize it. Probably would. You don't think about it. But it's right there, I think as the crow flies, 5 miles away from Mar-a-Lago, something like that. It's very close to Mar-a-Lago. I thought that he golfed on Mar-a-Lago. I didn't know that he went to some course on Gun Club Road. I didn't know that. Turns out, and Mooney, thanks for the $1.99. I appreciate that that super chat. Thank you so much. Appreciate that, Mooney. The $1.99. I always appreciate people coming in and helping out. So Trump's out there golfing, and it turns out some nut job is there, and according to all reports, has an AK-47. This is from the police. They found an AK-47, which is a rifle. They find a duffel bag, don't know what was in it yet, and a GoPro camera. The suggestion is he wanted to shoot the former president and video it. Then somehow he shoots. I know the local sheriff's office shot back. Secret Service allegedly shot back, but I know that gunshots were exchanged. He somehow gets in his car and heads north to Martin County, the next county north, which is probably, just to think off the top of my head, 15 to 20 miles north. Heads there. Then he's apprehended in Martin County. There's a picture now that's out there. The guy has his hands over his head. The shirt is pulled up to show that he doesn't have any guns around his waist. He's in custody. As we find out more about this person, it's clear to me he should have been on every radar in the DOJ, the FBI, the CIA, the Secret Service, Homeland Security. Everybody should have had this guy flagged. I want you to understand, Tulsi Gabbard, a former U.S. representative who ran for president in 2020, has now walked away and is endorsing and helping Donald Trump. She's on a no-fly list, or not a no-fly list, a watch list, to where every time she tries to get on a plane, there are 4 S's on there for extra security for her and her family. That happened, allegedly, right after she smoked Kamala Harris in the 2019 Democrat, in that primary debate that they had. She ruined Kamala Harris in that debate. Then all of a sudden she's on a watch list. Tulsi Gabbard is on a watch list, and this asswagon was able to show up at a golf club owned by Trump and get some shots off. Maybe I'm missing it. Maybe I don't get it. Maybe I'm the one that's not using his brain. So what we know is the guy has the rifle, the GoPro, and the duffel bag, according to police and authorities. Gets off at least one shot. I don't know how many. Shots were fired back at him by the good guys. Gets in his car, goes to Martin County, about 15, 20 miles north, and is arrested there. And as you go through his history, this is a guy, according to his own videos, him on video being interviewed by Newsweek in Romania, went to Ukraine, tried to recruit Afghan soldiers who are running from the Taliban. Follow me here. Take those soldiers, bring them to Ukraine illegally through Iran. You following me? Also wanted to put some in Taiwan to protect Taiwan from China. This is that guy who says he's from North Carolina, yet he lived in Hawaii. And he'd have to tell me that he lived in Hawaii because he puts his phone number on many of his social media posts. His phone number is there. And it's an 808 area code. He's from Hawaii. Somehow ends up in Florida today, according to police, and is arrested, according to police and authorities, after firing at former President Donald Trump. Now, make me understand. Because if you had an excuse before July 13th, July 13th was when those excuses stopped. As we saw that guy walking around the grounds with a rangefinder, and he wasn't playing golf. And we see that guy on top of the roof, ready to take shots at the former president, and shoots him in the ear, kills a man, Corey Comparatori, and also injures severely 2 other people at the rally. Yet for some reason, the left wants Trump to tamp down the violent rhetoric. When you say he's a threat to democracy, somebody who's unhinged will go all the way unhinged. When you say he's a fascist, somebody who's unhinged will completely come off the hinges. Who's borderline, maybe I'll do something. This is going to push him. It's insightful. And by that I mean INCITE, full. Not insightful like you have good sight of it. You're pushing somebody through suggestion to do something. And again, listen, I don't know this guy's mental status other than you got to screw loose to take a shot at a former president. I don't know the guy's mental status. I don't. But I will say this. We've got to revisit mental health in this country. We've got to revisit opening up hospitals and asylums in this country. We've got people walking the streets who are on video. The guy's on video. I didn't make it up. I just played it for you. He's on video talking about getting former Afghan soldiers who are running from the Taliban, smuggle them through Ukraine illegally, or to Ukraine illegally through Iran somehow. I kid you not. And also bring some of them to Taiwan. That's what we're dealing with here. And you're telling me that we don't have a mental health crisis in this country? Of course we do. But again, tell me how I can be on somebody's list because I say a certain medicine works against the pandemic, and Tulsi Gabbard can be on a watch list when she flies, somebody who's currently a lieutenant colonel in the Army Reserves, Tulsi Gabbard, former U.S. representative. She can be on a list. But this guy's walking around with an AK-47 around a Trump golf course in Florida. Help me understand what I'm looking at here. I almost gave the phone number. I was going to take some phone calls. Let me see what kind of comments we have. And again, if you're not checking out the radio show, look for it on your local radio station, your talk station. If it's not on there, go to joepags.com, joepags.com, and click on Listen Live at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday. 6 p.m., Listen Live. We're also on Patriot.tv. That's my television home. It's General Flynn's network. We're on from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time. 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Go download that app right now and watch us Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Then they play my first hour later on in the night. We're going to have as many guests as we can on this tomorrow. I'm going to have as many of your phone calls as well. Let me go and see what kind of comments there are. And again, I'm a broadcaster, so for me, having dead air doesn't feel good, but I know I can on a Sunday where I didn't shave and throw on a shirt and jumped in the chair just to give you the very latest information. And by the way, as soon as I get any more information, even as we're doing this live, I'll bring it to you. Now, when I first got the information today, I went on my Instagram, Joe Talk Show, JoeTalkshow. Go follow on Instagram right now if you're not. And I posted a video with what we knew then. And then I also put it up on TikTok, JoePags, Joe Pags, all one word. I'm verified everywhere, including on YouTube and X and Twitch, except TikTok. I'm not verified on TikTok. They don't get it. But that's me if it's got 500-something thousand followers. Let me go and see some of your comments right now and see where you are with this. If you've got thoughts, I normally have a call-in talk show. I'm not going to ask my executive producer and screener to come in and take calls today. But I will take your comments right now. If you're on YouTube, if you're on X, if you're on Twitch, I will see your comments coming up in front of my face. I'll even pop some of them up on the screen so that we can just sort of share this today and make sure that we're all on the same page. And by the way, if you're a Democrat or a liberal, and you want Kamala Harris to beat Donald Trump, fine. She should beat him in November. You should be as disgusted as I am as a Trump guy. You should be as disgusted as I am that this happened again. We can't have a free, liberated country that is a constitutional representative republic and have people taking shots at one of the main people. Come on, man. We can't possibly want to be that country. We're not third world. We're not some sort of a communist, dictatorship they're trying to overthrow. This is the freest, most liberated land on the planet, and people have a right to run for president and not have to dodge bullets. Let me see some of the comments that you guys have to say. Transplanted Texan, the vitriol from the left has been disgusting, quoting Rachel Vindman, no ears were harmed, carry on with your Sunday afternoon. Yeah, we showed that. We actually showed her tweet. That is a real tweet from Rachel Vindman. That's a real tweet. Really is. She really said that. Again, here's a guy that was in the bag completely for the left. Just read that. This is to the President of the United States back in April of this year from the guy that's in custody. POTUS, your campaign should be called something like KADAF, Keep America Democratic and Free. Trump should be MASA, M-A-S-A, Make Americans Slaves Again, Master. Democracy is on the ballot and we cannot lose. We cannot afford to fail. The world is counting on us to show the way. Now, nothing he says there makes any sense unless you're a crazy person. Nothing he says there makes any sense and is a call to action other than really believing that Donald Trump somehow would make people slaves. Really believing that somehow democracy is on the ballot. Democracy is on the ballot. It is. Because we democratically go and vote for our representative republic. And the ballot really does hold it. You'll have higher regulations, higher taxation, higher control, higher central government weight and control if you go to the left. If you go to the right, you've got lower regulations, lower taxes, more freedom. How do I know? He just did 4 years where he proved that. So saying democracy is on the ballot is just, A, it's dumb because we're not a democracy, but B, it triggers people like this. This guy here, this is the guy who allegedly did the deed today on Gun Club Road. Here he is. He's literally trying to gather troops to send to Ukraine voluntarily and also to send to Taiwan. The New York Times quotes the guy last year. With Legion growth stalling, Ryan Routh, that's the guy, a former construction worker from Greensboro, North Carolina, seeking recruits from among Afghan soldiers who fled the Taliban. Mr. Routh, who spent several months in Ukraine last year, said he planned to move them, in some cases illegally, from Pakistan to Iran to Ukraine. He said dozens have expressed interest. We can probably purchase some passports through Pakistan since it's such a corrupt country, he said in an interview from Washington. What? This guy is not on a watch list, but Tulsi Gabbard is. Let that sink in. This guy not on a watch list, Tulsi Gabbard is. Help me to see the light. I can't. I don't get it. I don't want to. I really do. Give you some more comments. Trump needs to call in the national sheriffs for protection. USS failed twice. Without a doubt, Goldie, the Secret Service now has failed twice. You should not be able to take shots at a former president or a nominee. The question now goes to this. After he was shot in July, he and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. got Secret Service detail. They've now taken it away from Robert F. Kennedy Jr. because he dared drop out of the race and support Trump. But when they stepped up the Secret Service detail for President Trump, did they give him everything that even Jill Biden gets? Does he have everything Harris has? Because again, as a former president, you already have detail. It wasn't enough. Then he becomes the nominee, and he was shot. The detail should be increased, no? What makes you think they'll stop between now and November 5th? I mean, other bad guys are going, holy crap, another guy got shots off? I'd have hit him. That's what they're going to be thinking if you're crazy. Secret Service has ent political with Jay Biddy's blessings. I guess went, you mean? Is that what that meant, lady? I don't know. Soros hates Donald Trump and freedom. Yes, he does. Soros does hate freedom. Soros is taking over DA's offices to make sure that this country looks like he wants it to look. How infiltrated is the deep state into our system? JK, this to me, let's take all the deep state talk out of it. And I'm not saying you're right or wrong or the question is unfair. Let's talk about how some nutjob, 58-year-old nutjob from Hawaii, gets to a Trump golf course on Gun Club Road in Palm Beach County, Florida, and gets shots off with an AK-47, allegedly. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about how there wasn't a perimeter that had it. Because, again, the latest reports are between 300 and 500 yards. It's too close. Perimeter's got to be way beyond that. Then the county sheriff says, we didn't have the place surrounded. He's not the sitting president. Really? Okay. Gotcha. Exactly. As I said, expect more attempts. That's from Loke. Soros wants to bankrupt the USA. I believe that. I think that he wants complete world power and control, and the way you do that is you ruin what's working now in the United States. Looking at your comments now, reading some of them as we do this live on a Sunday afternoon, 6:57 p.m. Central Time, which is where I am. He was at the precise location at the precise time. He was where Trump was going to be. Listen, without getting into conspiracy theories, here's a simple question. How does that guy from Hawaii, who is actively trying to recruit Afghan soldiers to go to Ukraine or to go to Taiwan, how does that guy know Donald Trump's golfing today? I don't know. How does he know that? Not saying this, that, or the other. How does he know? I wouldn't know. And I'm a supporter of Donald Trump. I've interviewed him 14 times. Had J.D. Vance on my show on Friday. By the way, if you're on YouTube or any of these other outlets, you can check out on YouTube my interview with J.D. Vance. It's up and running. Go and check it out. Also, I fact-checked the fact-checkers the other day as well. Go check out all those videos. If you'd rather see it over on Rumble, it's on Rumble as well. Rumble.com/Joe Pags. I just had J.D. Vance on the other day. So I'm in the camp. I didn't know Donald Trump was going to be golfing today. Did you? I did not. So when you start looking at the information that we have, you start asking yourself a question. How did a 20-year-old loser in Pennsylvania, with 6 or 7 days notice that Trump was going to be there, set all that up and shoot him in the ear? How did that happen? Kill a guy and severely injure 2 others. How did that happen? I need to know. He's a 20-year-old pimple-faced ne'er-do-well. How does he know that? And how does this loser today, how does he know that Donald Trump is golfing, has a GoPro ready, has a duffel bag ready, and an AK-47 ready, allegedly, according to police? How does he have that ready? How does he know? Hey, Donald Wilburn in my chat on YouTube obviously is an idiot. I'm going to go ahead and call you out. You're an idiot. Way to go. Way to go. Congratulations on being stupid. D-Dykes Super Chat, $2 from D-Dykes. Thanks, Pags, for always bringing us the facts. D-Dykes, thank you. I appreciate your support on every platform. You're always wonderful. Thank you for that Super Chat. Thank you. You can do a Super Chat. You can be a member. You can do all sorts of stuff. Whatever you'd like to do. I appreciate everybody stopping by today. As I'm like to do, as I want to do, I will jump on when there's something going on. I will jump on and bring you the very latest that we have. And I'm going through my feed right now, seeing if there's anything else that I haven't brought you. I guess there's some other nut job. This is from Libs of TikTok, our friends Haya Rachik. She's posting how, I guess, there are left-wing activists already trying to downplay the attempted assassination attempt, or the attempted assassination of Donald Trump, this time again.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't hearing pew pew fire in the red state of Florida as common as hearing birds sing? I'm sure it wasn't personal. Please don't flatter yourself.
Can you imagine being this stupid? Just imagine being that brain dead, that you've got to go out there, put out a video just to try to get somebody to like what you're saying. This is what you do. You go out there and say, the red state of Florida, pew, pew, blah, blah, whatever, and downplay the fact. Because, listen, I don't want anything to happen to Trump, Vance, RFK Jr., Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, Tim Walz. I want them all to be safe, protected, and sound. Can you imagine if this were toward the left and not towards the right? Can you imagine? This would be headline news every day for the next year, certainly well through the election. Just the attempt in July should have been top story every single day. What's the latest on the failure? What's the latest on the former president being shot? What's the latest? But instead, a guy who looks like this was able to get within 300 to 500 yards of former President Trump today and fire shots. Just let that sink in. There were people, listen, when I heard about this today, I jumped on TikTok at Joe Pags, Joepags, follow there, on Instagram at Joe Talk Show. I would have done it on YouTube as well, but YouTube for a short, it's got to be less than a minute. It's about a minute 14, minute 15. They wouldn't have shown it to anybody. For some reason, the algorithm likes it when it's shorter than a minute. I did not have a short enough one to put on, but I'll do something later as we get more news. But I wanted to jump on and give you the facts. I wanted to jump on and give you the latest that we had. I never thought to myself, let me jump on and blame Harris or blame Walz, or let me jump on and take a left or a right-wing stance. Let me jump on and try to be funny about Florida being a red state. I don't understand. I don't get it. Your thoughts, I'm reading through the chat. I'm going to bring up some comments as they come. I appreciate the super chats that we've gotten. I appreciate the new subs that we've gotten. I don't think we have any members yet. I just turned members on yesterday on YouTube. If you want to be a member, you get special perks and emotes and all sorts of stuff. You don't have to. But if you're a member, you certainly get priority when it comes to asking questions and stuff as well. Trump should hire his own army. He got the money. People would do it for free. Listen, I think you're right. They would do it for free, Paul. And I talked to Eric Prince, the founder of Blackwater, and I asked him directly, what do you do now at this point after the July one? Nobody saw another attempt happening. Of course, the Secret Service should have seen it and should have planned for it. Somehow, guy gets gunshots off, gets in a car, and goes to Martin County. It's about the clicks. Don't click, don't share, no bucks, no schmucks, or for schmucks. All right, Gail. Good stuff. Good stuff. Cool comment. Well said. This happened to Biden or Kamala. You'd hear about it all the way to the election. It's sick who some people are trying to downplay this, like an assassination is no big deal. God be with Trump. Yeah, Sigmund, that's exactly what I said. That's exactly what I said. They will now act like this is no big deal. Nobody was hurt. No harm, no foul. But they stopped talking about the actual attempt a while ago where he was shot. There's a reason Democrats shut down all the mental health hospitals. They need willing, useful idiots. I don't think that's it. I think they thought that it was mean to have somebody in a hospital, which is very strange. Whoever's around Trump, it's a snitch and is giving information on president where a president whereabout. That's from Letty. Letty, I hear you. I just want to know how it is that 2 times now somebody's gotten shots off toward President Trump, one time hitting him. I just have to know how they knew he would be there, what time it would be there, how the roof was in Pennsylvania, where you could hide by a fence or behind the shrubbery today in Florida. I need to know how these people know where he is. I don't know where he is on a daily basis, and I'm a friend of his. He comes from a non-gun state with a gun at the correct time and place to match up with him. Yeah, pretty interesting, right? Pretty interesting. Leftism is a dangerous cult and an existential threat to our constitutional representative republic, Trump, MAGA 2024, and beyond. Listen, they're proving themselves to be complicit when it comes to the news media, and they won't properly report on what's going on. They're proving themselves to be complicit when you've got an active news media that has made the decision that we're not going to cover this in the right way. We're going to cover this as if it's no big deal. We're going to cover this as if Trump's fine. We're going to cover this as if Trump's rhetoric somehow is why this is happening. It doesn't make any sense. It's actually completely the opposite of what I would, as a news anchor or reporter reporting this story, I never would say, I wonder what the Trump campaign is going to do now to tamp down the violence after he was shot at again. That would be lunacy. That would be stupid. Yet they're doing it. The deep state is getting desperate. I don't know, Steve. I know this guy was desperate, and it should never have happened. Yeah, I'm not going to post some of your comments are just silly. I'm not going to do conspiracy theory stuff. I do appreciate you stopping by and liking. Do appreciate you following. If you're not following yet, do so. You can watch this show every day, all 3 hours on Twitch, on Rumble, on X. Our television home, however, is Patriot.tv. Download the Patriot.tv app. Watch it on Roku. I do stream on YouTube a couple of times a week. I stream on TikTok 2 or 3 times a week. We also, of course, are on 170 radio stations. Our home base is San Antonio, Texas at WOAI, 1200 AM. Make sure that you're listening no matter where you happen to be. You download the podcast later. You can go and watch the videos that we do. I'm very active on TikTok, very active on Instagram when it comes to short-form videos. I'm also on something called Clapper, which is sort of a TikTok-like app, but it is based in the United States. Now, let me go to some of your comments here before we get out of here for now. Let me also, and again, I'm a television and radio broadcaster, so dead air is not easy for me. So just having dead air is not easy. That's why I'm talking the entire time. But I may actually stop talking for a second if I needed to. You see here, just going through some of the latest from our friends over on X, just seeing what the latest news is that's breaking on this. A lot of people stopping by. Okay. New background on the alleged Trump shooter confirms it was coordinating with foreign soldiers to support. Again, this is something that I'm not going to, you got to attribute better than that. But I guess there's new information coming in showing that this guy was, in fact, trying to coordinate with Afghan soldiers who are trying to get away from the Taliban to send them over to Ukraine. This guy obviously completely out there, and it should have been known. There's no reason why this would not have been known. This should have been seen and known, and he should have been on the Secret Service's radar, the DHS radar, the DOJ radar, all of that. Somehow he gets shots off. You explain that to me. Explain that to me. These are also allegedly some X posts from this person, and in every one of his posts he put his phone number. I'm not going to blank it out because the guy's behind bars, and he's the one who posted it, out there for everybody to see. He writes to Zelensky, I'm here in Kiev, I want to use Independence Park to create the tent city of the foreigners here in support to get thousands more foreign civilians to come and support Ukraine. Please call me. We can raise great support and equipment. Then he writes again, forget the no-fly zone. Ask Congress to put all American military on paid leave so they can fight as civilians in Ukraine. Tell Congress that you will pay for all weapons, drones, missiles, planes, everything. Give them a blank check, so no U.S. responsibility. Blank check from who? We're the ones that gave them the money, you idiot. Oh, he can't hear me. He's behind bars. Then he writes, I'm willing to fly to Krakow to go to the border of Ukraine to volunteer and fight and die. I'll be able to cross the border to fight without a visa. Every citizen around the globe should be running to Ukraine to fight. Can I be the example? We must win. Really consider what you're seeing here in these posts that are attributed to this guy. Really consider this. Really consider what we're talking about. I mean, here's a guy that is openly on social media, giving his phone number, tweeting to Zelensky in Ukraine to support a war that the United States is somehow paying for against Russia that never should have happened had Trump been in office. Understand the delusion of a person that's putting on X his personal phone number, asking Zelensky to call him. And he wasn't on the radar. He somehow got close enough to Trump to take shots today. Help me understand. Just have confirmation. Eric Prince will be on tomorrow. The founder of Blackwater will be on my show tomorrow. I'm going to break down exactly what the hell's going on. Last time he was angry. He can be really angry now. Last time he was mad. Going to be really mad now. Because it's not okay. This is not normal. It's not normal. By the way, his account was up on Facebook. Same guy. What did Facebook do immediately? This. Not available right now. They took it down right away. Took it down right away. That was his Facebook account. Listen, I'm a simple guy, extremely simple. Extremely. Extremely. I just want to know how these shooters know where Trump's going to be and how to get to him. I just want to know. His X page, according to our friend Chaya Rachik over at Libs of TikTok, is filled with all sorts of stuff. You and Biden should visit the injured people in the hospital from the Trump rally and attend the funeral of the murdered firemen. Trump would never do anything for them, show the world what compassion and humanity is all about. Then he leaves his phone number. This is to Kamala Harris. Listen, I'm not saying conspiracy theories can't be true. I'm saying that I don't spread them until I can back them up. Make sure you understand what I'm saying. I'm actually doing journalism here that you're not used to. Because most people in this country that claim to be journalists aren't. I'm doing real journalism here. I'm going to report what I know I can report. I'm going to say what I know I can say. I'm going to put it out there, what I know I can put out there. Anything else I'm going to attribute, or I'm going to say allegedly, or police say, or authorities say. This is why you can trust me when I bring you information. I'm not going to be the first to put it out there. I'm going to be the right one. Understand that. The next one he says, to Joe Biden. This is July 16th, a couple of days after Trump was shot. You should visit the victims in the hospital, the Trump rally victims, and attend the funeral of the firemen that died. Trump certainly never would. Show the world what real leaders do. Of course, Trump has supported all the families that were shot or had family members that were shot after he was shot in July. He wrote in April, your campaign should be called KADAF. I've said this earlier. Keep America democratic and free. Trump should be massa. Make Americans slaves again, master. Democracy is on the ballot. We cannot lose. We cannot afford to fail. The world is counting on us to show the way. And one from back in March of 2020, I was not supporting Bernie, but now I am. As Sleepy Joe stands for nothing. No plans, no ideas, just as limp as Hillary. Bernie, give them hell, fight to the death. See, this guy is all over the public social media map, and you're telling me he wasn't on a list? Nobody was watching this guy? Really? Is that what's going on? And for anybody who doesn't think this was an actual assassination attempt, even MSNBC had to admit it.
Alex, the FBI has just issued a new statement where it says it's responding to what it calls an attempted assassination of former President Trump. And that's obviously deeply significant because we have not been calling this an assassination attempt until now because of certain information that we lack right now. The FBI obviously believes that it was. They offer no further details in that statement. And we're trying to get in touch with them right now to understand why they are calling this an attempted assassination against former President Trump. But that's what they're saying. And they have this person is in custody and the FBI is responding. And so that's obviously a very significant moment in this story, an attempted assassination attempt.
Without a doubt, that video was sped up. That guy doesn't talk that fast, but I want you to understand the overtones in what he was saying. Understand the overtones in what he was saying. We don't know why they're calling it an assassination attempt, but they're calling it that. You don't know why they're calling it an assassination attempt? Because they attempted to assassinate him. What are you talking about? This is what I'm saying. We don't know why they're calling it an assassination attempt, because it was. Is anybody watching or listening right now confused about what the term assassination attempt means? Anybody? There's a guy who's making money to say things on TV. He had great hair. I'll give him that. He's making money to say things on TV, and he doesn't know why they're calling it an assassination attempt. Really? You go back to some of your comments. Appreciate you hanging out. The real shooter in PA had been fighting in Ukraine. I don't know that to be true. Why are you saying that? Why even say that? Thanks for jumping on, Pags. Appreciate the info as always. You bet, Tape. You bet. Good to see you in here. First attempt was a scapegoat. That's just your opinion. Democrat Party's crazy. Well, there are some crazy people in it. Yeah, Life, I can't back that up. I didn't see that. I am going to post this. President Donald Trump has been saying for a long time that the fake news media is the enemy of the people. And people have taken that to mean the media. That's not what he said. He said the fake news media. In other words, the media that's not telling the truth. The media that's making it up. The media that is not focused on doing the right job. So, yeah, I think that they can be enemies of the people. If you're purposely blaming Trump for his own face being shot at twice now, there's something wrong with you. You're an enemy to truth. I don't want anybody to do anything to you. I'm just telling you that you're using your freedom of speech and you're using it to mislead people. When you go on MSNBC and you ask if Trump now is going to back off of the violent rhetoric, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? The guy's been shot at twice. Charles with this one. MSM Today would ask why they're calling Dallas an assassination of JFK. Exactly. Exactly right. They'd be asking why. They would be. Keep in mind, you can become a member on YouTube. You can also subscribe on X. You can subscribe on Twitch. Appreciate you hanging out. I wanted to jump on today. We've got 907 likes. Do me a favor and give me a thumbs up over on YouTube. Let's get that over 1,000. We've got 1,500 people watching on YouTube. At one point, it was 1,700 or 1,800, which is a ton for me on YouTube. Usually on Rumble, and I tried to put it on Rumble, but I guess the key wasn't right. Usually on Rumble, it'll be a few thousand on a case like this. Over on X, they don't count the numbers the same way. But on X, 5,400 people have seen it. They aggregate the numbers instead of just showing the real number, which is actually very odd, to be honest with you. But man, at some point, you got to figure out what's going on. This is being reported on X now, and I got to tell you something. I'm a little surprised by this, and because I don't think there was any rhetoric on this account, other than to protect the guys. Thank goodness people grabbed a screenshot of it. But on X, they actually, I guess, suspended the guy's account now. He reported by somebody named George. Do I follow George? I don't. He's got a good following, though. X just followed Mark Zuckerberg's example and suspended Brian Ralph's account. Users can no longer see his pro-Kamala Biden and anti-Trump posts as the FBI ordering platforms to wipe everything because it makes no sense to hide the truth about him from the public. Elon and the team need to reconsider. Interesting. Well, let me make sure, because, again, people can be you always, listen, you want to be a journalist, you always have to make sure. Okay, it has been suspended. I just independently verified it. It has been suspended. That's how you do it. You have to verify it. And that's what we just did. All right, so now you can't get the information. Thank goodness some people have already gone and grabbed some of that information from that account. I'm glad they did. I truly believe that when you instigate and you use suggestion, that you can push some people that are teetering over the edge. On the brink, they could go over the edge. I think you can. And I think that's exactly what's happening here. Because you can see any number of people. Mays, who I do follow over on X, posted this, which makes sense.
Extremist, so-called leaders who are attempting to undermine our democracy and assault our most fundamental freedoms. Freedom, liberty, and democracy are on the ballot this fall.
And then you see the guy's tweet, democracy is on the ballot. She's talking about somebody assaulting our freedoms, assaulting democracy. And again, I believe she's got the freedom of speech to say it. And I have the freedom of speech to give it back and tell her why she's wrong. But we need to do a better job identifying people who are on the brink that are pushed over by her violent, radical words. We need that. As we pretend like, they missed, no big deal, let's go on about your Saturday or your Sunday, which is exactly what some people put out there. I'm going to grab a few more comments. Make sure that you're following on all these platforms. If you like what you see, make sure that you follow. You can subscribe. You can be a member. You can give a super chat. You can do whatever you want. But if you like what you're seeing, make sure you follow. I try to post at least one video a day, if not 2 videos a day on all the platforms, including YouTube, including over on Instagram. It's Joe Talk Show, like it is on YouTube. Joe Talk Show there. Joe Talk Show on X. Joe Talk Show on Facebook. If Facebook doesn't let anybody see anything. On TikTok, it's Joe Pags, Joepags. If you want to follow me on Truth, it's Joe Pags, Joepags. I am verified literally everywhere except TikTok. All right, Paul, there you go. Little witty wordplay. Why not? Thanks for the update. You bet. You bet, Underdog. Good to see you. Let's go. Trying to bring it to you like it's been brought in. November's going to be wild. If we make it, I hope we make it to November. Let's go. Wood just followed over on X. Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, let's save our America first, or First America. America first, America only. Let's save our country. All right, Calvin. Inciting a riot is a crime, so is it a crime to incite an assassination? Only if you literally say, Winter, and it's a good question. It's a very good question. Only if you say, here's the AK-47, go and assassinate somebody. If you do that, then you could be on the hook. You could be responsible. Otherwise, you have to be smart enough to realize that your rhetoric is causing people like this, that your side doesn't want to put in asylums, causing them to do something that a normal person wouldn't do. Great question. In my opinion, the Democrats won't stop calling Trump a threat to democracy until he's gone. Sigma, I agree with you. I don't think they're going to stop. They didn't stop after he was literally shot in the ear. Why stop now? Why would they? Kamala told them to get out in the streets. Lane told them to peacefully protest cities burned. Why don't Trump hold a commission on the 2020 riots? Well, he can't until he's in there again. I'm sure then he would. They did not. Kristen, you're right. They didn't even mention the first attempt at the debate and cut Trump off when he tried. That's true. Can you imagine being a so-called moderator of a debate and having an opportunity to talk to the former president, the current nominee, who was shot in the ear at a rally, and not bring it up? Can you imagine not bringing it up? I can't. I can't. But they didn't. You think there's an inside job, or people just influenced by the rhetoric? I don't believe it's an inside job. I do believe that they're somehow getting information that I don't even know is available, where he is, when he's going to be there, and the fact that there isn't a perimeter to keep him safe makes me crazy. Let me just check for any latest updates, and then I'm going to get off of here for now. I'm going to go and try to eat a little bit of dinner, take a breath for my Sunday. Wanted to jump on, though. I will give my Sunday up every single day. Every single Sunday I'll give it up if there's breaking news, and I can bring you information that you won't get elsewhere. And again, I'm not saying I'm better than anybody else. I'm here to tell you that I've done this for a living. And a lot of people are speculating, and they shouldn't be. A lot of people are saying things that they shouldn't be saying. I'm only going to give you real information, and I'll only give you an opinion on what I can verify as being real. Okay? So let me see if we've got a few more comments or questions before I get out of here. I agree. Jesus protect Trump. I'm with you. I'm with you. The media owns these attacks on President Trump. The lies they tell about him being a threat to democracy has these nutjobs believing it. What I think that they need to absolutely reassess how they're doing this. But keep in mind, they just had this big, lengthy profile on Lindsay Davis, one of the sorority sister of Kamala Harris. She said so. She told George Stephanopoulos. Big, long profile on her about how it was her job to hold his feet to the fire because Biden could not. She literally says this. Biden could not, in real time, fact check Trump. So she thought it was her job to do so at the latest debate. Think about that. You got a guy who doesn't have to do this. Donald Trump doesn't have to do this. He's got a great life. Doesn't that? He lost wealth, the only president in modern history who lost wealth while being president. And now he's been shot once, shot at twice. He has the complicit media acting like he somehow is causing the violence against him. They're calling him a threat to democracy, a fascist in waiting, He's never going to leave office if he goes in, be a dictator on day one. They're just lying. And it's not okay. And that's going to take somebody who's not very deep, going to take them over the edge. And look up this guy that is the alleged shooter, the guy who's now in custody. Look him up. Learn about him. Tomorrow I've got Eric Prince on my program. I know I at least have him. He's the founder of Blackwater. What the hell has to happen now? Because look, Trump at this point has to take action. I'm sure he did last time, and I know that he likes his close personal detail from the Secret Service. But I don't think he should trust the DOJ, the DHS, the FBI. I think that he should trust himself. Whatever the expenditure has to be, get that security you need for yourself and your family. Let's get to November now, because enough is enough. All right, going to run for now. Do me a favor and make sure that you're following all the platforms. That means subscribing over on YouTube, it's free. Following on X, it's free. Following on Twitch, it's free. You can subscribe on Twitch, cost you, I think, $4.99 a month, something like that. You can subscribe or be a member on YouTube, $4.99 a month. You could do a sub over on X as well. It's also about $5 a month. You don't have to do any of that. But if you want to support what I do and make sure that you get real journalism along with real opinion that's based on real fact, and you're going to get it every time there's a breaking story, or at least Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 p.m. Eastern, make sure that you support us right here. I appreciate you stopping by today. Have an amazing rest of your Sunday, and do not let this go away. When you go to work tomorrow, go to school tomorrow, when you see your family, make sure that you let them know how serious this is. This is serious. The man was almost killed once, and another attempt was taken today. Do not let the media or big Hollywood or big music or big academia, big tech, don't let them try to downplay this and pretend like it's not something that's real and a threat to the fabric of the nation. Our representative republic is in jeopardy when people simply running for president aren't safe. It's not okay. All right, got to go for now. It's Joe Pags. Go to joepags.com. Follow on all the social media. Have a great rest of your Sunday. Talk soon.